this card on a platform that I co-founded called Liquid Marketplace. It allows co-ownership of top-tier assets. So instead of one person, me owning this card, we as a collective can co-own it together.
Not too long ago, Logan Paul ended up in another messy situation, and this time it pulled in the Pokemon card world heavy back in 2022. He didn't just casually get into it either. He went all in, spending crazy money on rare cards and sealed packs like it was nothing. We're talking millions being thrown around, and at one point he even got scammed, which made everything look even more wild. It felt like every move just added more chaos, and people were watching closely because the whole thing kept getting bigger and louder. Then, Logan teamed up with investors to launch something called Liquid Marketplace, and on the surface, it sounded like a smart idea. Instead of needing millions to own rare collectibles, people could buy small shares of items like trading cards or sports memorabilia. So basically, regular people could own a piece of something valuable without having to buy the whole thing.
Oh my God, we're still going! Yes, we have another thing. We now have 30 minutes left again. Go ahead, Mr.
2,492,000.
That's crazy.
Which pulled a lot of attention because it sounded like an easy way into a high-end market. The system was supposed to run smoothly in the background using blockchain, keeping everything organized without most people even needing to understand it. But the real hook, the thing that got everyone locked in, was the promise of owning a piece of one of the rarest Pokémon cards ever. Logan was talking about selling 51% ownership of a PSA 10 Pikachu Illustrator card, which is basically the holy grail in the Pokemon world. That alone had collectors and investors paying serious attention because cards like that are almost never available.
Spent $5.3 million on this Pikachu card.
Because Pokemon has outperformed the stock market by 3,000% in the last 20 years.
Meaning this is now worth more than all of these watches, these cars,
And probably this dinosaur.
Because it is the only perfect PSA 10 Pikachu Illustrator in existence.
And now, I'm letting it go.
this grail is going up for auction on Pokemon's 30th anniversary.
And the hype around it went crazy fast. Fast forward a few years, and the whole Liquid Marketplace situation completely fell apart. What once looked like a big, exciting investment idea turned into confusion, legal issues, and people asking questions. Lawsuits started showing up connected to the project, and from the outside, it looked like Logan slowly started stepping away from it. The hype disappeared, and now people were left trying to figure out what actually happened behind the scenes. Then Logan came out saying that in 2024, he bought back the fractionally owned part of the card, claiming everything was done based on the official agreement. But what caught people off guard was how he started talking about the platform after that, almost like he wasn't deeply involved from the beginning. That didn't sit right with a lot of people because before that, he clearly made himself the face of the whole project. That's why things got heated when he announced he was teaming up with Ken Golden from King of Collectibles to auction off that same Pikachu Illustrator card. The second that news dropped, people in the collecting world started questioning everything. It didn't make sense to them how a card tied to fractional ownership could suddenly just be sold like that. Reports said Logan would get a big upfront payment plus a percentage of the final sale, and once that information spread, the backlash came in fast.
We have a high-profile item, an expensive item such as the PSA 10 Illustrator that was a 9 several times before it got a 10. That is not the case, even though this thing clearly is not a 10.
People started asking the same questions everywhere. What happened to the fractional owners? What about the people who thought they owned part of the card? Seeing it go up for auction like that confused a lot of people and made them feel like something wasn't adding up. Then it got even deeper because some creators started questioning the card itself. One creator, Rattle Pokemon, said the card shouldn't have even received a PSA 10 grade, pointing out possible issues and claiming it might have been submitted multiple times until it finally got that perfect score. And that perfect grade is exactly what gave it that legendary reputation.
Current bid on the Illustrator, $12,400,000.
No way, no way, no way.
So now the situation wasn't just about the business side, people were also questioning the legitimacy of the card itself. Reactions online got loud fast, and criticism started coming from all directions. Then Logan dropped another update saying that Liquid Marketplace users could finally withdraw their money, and he even shared a link to the site. What made that interesting is the site had been unavailable for a long time, and suddenly people could log back in and try to get their money back. That made even more people start digging into what really happened, because some started pointing out that investors might not have actually owned the asset the way they thought they did. The idea of fractional ownership sounded simple and appealing, but the reality behind it might have been very different. At the same time, Logan was heavily promoting the auction, and like people have noticed before, he was blocking users who brought up criticism. One example came from a deleted post where he said, "Goodbye, my friends. What a privilege it's been to be the owner of the greatest collectible in the world." And someone replied, "Liquid fraction owners remember they once co-owned this Pikachu card, LOL, and they got blocked almost instantly." That pretty much sums up the energy around this whole situation. Logan pushing high-energy promo clips using the kind of marketing he's always been good at, but this time it just made the backlash louder.
No way, bro. No way. One more bid's new record all time. 12.5 million. No way, bro.
Ken's whole team. I think they did it.
It also didn't help that his comment sections are usually turned off, which made people feel like there was no real place to question anything. Then the auction finally happened, and when someone dropped a $12.5 million bid, Logan kept repeating, "No way, bro," over and over like he couldn't believe it. And then it became official. The card broke the world record and became the most expensive trading card ever sold, even passing a Kobe Bryant card. It was a huge moment, but at the same time, people were still questioning everything. Because even though users could now withdraw their money, it didn't fix the bigger issues people were talking about. What about inflation? What about the fact that their money was stuck for years? What about missed chances to invest it somewhere else? And then people brought up real-life situations too, like needing money for rent, emergencies, or hard times. Meanwhile, Logan is celebrating, breaking records, popping champagne, and enjoying the moment like nothing happened.
Ambitions for the card is just a small story here. The real story is I'm on a planetary treasure hunt right now, and I'm on a quest to buy a T-Rex dinosaur fossil. That's on my list. I'm going to buy the Declaration of Independence, maybe from you.
Yep.
We'll find out.
Oh, this is crazy.
And I'm not stopping there. This was only the beginning.
And honestly, the older you get, the more you start realizing something uncomfortable. Sometimes people do questionable things and still come out winning. Not rarely either. It happens more than people like to admit. At one point, bidding even reached around $16.5 million, and the room was going crazy as the numbers kept climbing. Then the winning bidder was brought on stage, and all the attention shifted to them as they secured one of the most talked about cards ever. And it really makes you think, because when people reach that level of wealth, it feels like their mindset completely changed. These are people with more money than they could ever spend. Generational wealth already secured and still chasing more success, more headlines, and more attention. And from their perspective, none of this probably even feels like a problem. The whole moment looked like a huge flex, money and attention everywhere. And Logan standing there in a Pokémon onesie talking like this is just another normal day. Of course he's excited. Someone just paid over $16 million for a single card. That's the kind of moment that would have anyone losing their mind. And in that moment, it was clear just how big the whole situation really became.
Logan Paul,
Logan, you get it.
Ken Golden,
Yes.
tonight you sold the PSA 10 Pikachu Illustrator card for $16,492,000. On behalf of Guinness World Records, I can now confirm you have achieved a new record title for not only for the most expensive Pokémon card ever sold at auction, but also the overall record for the most expensive trading card ever sold at auction.
He knows exactly how crazy that payday is, and let's be honest, there's nothing special about showing up to an auction and spending that kind of money. That's not some huge achievement. It's just another rich buyer making a big purchase. And the whole thing honestly felt a bit too extra, like it was made to look bigger and more important than it really was. The way everything played out felt very dramatic, like they were stretching the moment on purpose. Then you had that slow handoff where Logan passed the card over like it was some kind of priceless treasure, and the whole room just went along with it. It didn't feel natural, it felt like a full performance. The celebration itself was just as over the top. Champagne spraying everywhere, people clapping, cameras flashing nonstop, and Ken Golden standing there like this was the biggest moment ever. Then, of course, another Guinness World Record gets handed out, another title added, more headlines created. But at the same time, the people who once thought they owned a piece of that card are now being told they can finally log in and take back their original money. Sure, that's something, but the timing felt off to a lot of people, because while all of that was happening, the show just kept going like nothing was wrong. And right in the middle of all that, Logan starts promoting his next project.
For every milestone of users that we hit, we'll do giveaways with the entire community with things like this crystallized Daniel Arsham Squirtle figure. And my team and I are grinding 24/7 to bring this platform to life. So please tell your friends and get ready to rip it.
And for a lot of people watching, it instantly felt familiar. The way it was explained sounded a lot like the same idea as before, just with new branding. He pitched it as the future of collecting, where people can open digital packs that connect to real cards, sell them, store them, or even get them shipped. It sounds smooth, but people quickly noticed it felt very similar to what already caused problems before. They even added a system where people compete, climb rankings, and invite friends to get better rewards. The more people you bring in, the higher you move up. That kind of setup made a lot of people pause, because it pushes people to recruit others just to grow inside the system. And when something looks that familiar, especially after lawsuits and backlash, people are naturally going to question it. That doubt didn't come from nowhere. It came from what already happened before. Once you're in, you're opening digital packs, chasing rare cards, and trying to climb higher than everyone else. It becomes this mix of collecting and competition, where people are showing off their positions and trying to stay ahead. Now, to be fair, this new idea isn't exactly the same as the old one, but the feeling around it is very similar. And after everything that happened, people aren't just going to ignore that. Anyone jumping into it now should at least take a moment to really think about it before getting involved. At the same time, Logan and his team are going all in with promotion. The videos look clean, the marketing is strong, and the energy is high. But to a lot of people, the timing just feels off. It almost feels like celebrating a big win while others are still confused about what happened to their part of the last project. That's why the reaction has been mixed. Then Logan finally responded to some of the criticism. He said the auction was a huge moment and thanked the community and everyone involved, which is fair because it really was a big sale. Then he explained that even though up to 51% of the card could have been sold, only 5.4% actually was. That came out to about $270,000 back in 2022. He also said he bought that portion back in 2024 at the same price, following the agreement, and that the money was made available for users to withdraw. On paper, that sounds simple, and 5.4% is way less than what people originally thought. But here's where people still feel uncomfortable. The card just sold for $16.5 million. Once people saw that number, everything changed. Now, it's not just about contracts, it's about fairness. A lot of people believe that if the value of something grows that much, the early investors should benefit from that growth too. For example, if someone put in money early on and the value went up a lot, people feel like they should get more than just what they originally paid. Now, legally, that might not be required at all. If the contract says one thing, then that's what matters in a legal sense. Logan also said users had about a year to withdraw their money after the buyback, and many people did. But then the site went offline, which made it impossible for some users to access their funds. He claims he paid to bring the site back so people could log in again and get their money, and that users were notified once everything was working again. So now it really comes down to how people see it. On one side, if everything followed the agreement, then technically it was handled properly. But on the other side, once people see a huge $16.5 million sale, expectations change fast. It stops being just about rules and starts being about what feels fair. A lot of people believe that the early supporters, the ones who trusted the project from the beginning, should share in that success. And it's not just about this one card either, because the platform handled a lot of different collectibles. So it opens up bigger questions about how everything worked overall. Then, on top of everything, Logan added even more attention by saying he's a better athlete than Tom Brady and most NFL players. That kind of statement just keeps the same energy going. No matter what happens, the confidence stays high, the statements stay bold, and the attitude stays the same every time. So when you look at the whole situation, there's one simple idea that keeps coming up. If Logan really wanted to clear everything up, he could take a small part of that auction money and give it to the original investors based on how much the card increased in value. Even if it costs a few million, that's still small compared to what he made. It's not something he has to do, but it would change how a lot of people see this situation. Now I want to hear what you think. Do you think everything was handled fairly based on the agreement? Or do you think the early investors should have gotten more after such a huge sale? Make sure you like, subscribe, share, drop your comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one.